What's up, y'all? Welcome on back to my Attack on Titan deep dive series. This is part 4, where I'm going to be diving deep into season 4, parts 1 and parts 2. If you are new to the channel, I am diving into every season of Attack on Titan, and then I'm also going to be doing the 2 specials. And then after all that, I will dive into some miscellaneous ranking and some discussion episodes. So again, if you're brand new to this series or this channel, there is a link right here that'll send you to the other episodes of this deep dive series. So with all of these episodes, I have tried to devote a general theme or concept of that season, whether it be about the emotions of war, how people deal with killing other people or being killed, seeing their comrades die in front of them, the PTSD of those incidents, or the dark side of humanity, which I explored on my season 3 deep dive, where it's human versus human at this point. So I will not have one of those devoted segments in this particular episode. I'm actually going to save that discussion for season 4 until the end of my reviews and deep dives into specials 1 and 2. I think once we have really consumed all of season 4, I think it will be best to save that discussion for after specials 1 and 2, my deep dives into both of those movies. And the reason for that is because I think it is going to be a better discussion now that you have watched the entirety of Attack on Titan, or the fact that we have talked about the entirety of Attack on Titan. That is going to be the moment to really flesh out our fan theories, discussions into the morality of the rumbling, and a lot of other things will be discussed in that discussion style episode with me and some of the other fans of Attack on Titan. And then we'll jump into an overall review of the Attack on Titan series. So I just wanted to give y'all a little heads up of why there won't be a special segment devoted to this particular episode. I'm saving that for the future. I think it'll be best handled, best consumed once we have talked about the entirety of Attack on Titan. But that is enough of the chit chat, enough of the housekeeping for this. Season 4, we are jumping into both parts 1 and 2. So if you have not caught up through the end of season 4, this is your chance to push pause, come back once you have caught up through the end of season 4. There will be full spoilers from this point forward as I am diving into miscellaneous characters, just about all of them, to be honest with you. I'm going to skip a few and save those for a future episode, but make no mistake about it, there will be spoilers from here on out. Also, full disclaimer, when I speak in this episode, I'm going to mention the characters of Parody and the characters of Marley. Now, technically, everybody in this discussion is Eldian. I don't think I have any non-Eldian characters to discuss, so I am breaking this up into Parody and Marley. I know these characters of Marley are not technically Marleyan, but that is going to be the easiest way to separate all of these characters from one another. Is I'm going to refer to them as characters of Marley. So don't come at me in the comment section. Don't text me, whatever, and be like, hey, these people weren't Marleyan. I am quite aware of that. But for sake of organization, we are going to be saying that Reiner, Zeke, Gabi, all those people, those are the characters of Marley. I know they're technically Eldians, but again, let's just kind of keep it organized here, guys. So we're going to start off with the characters of Parody. And we got to go with the de facto main protagonists of the series. And we got to talk about Eren first, because there's so much to say about Eren. And once we get into some of the other episodes of this series, I think we can expand and really discuss the intricacies, the theories behind what he has done or hasn't done. So we're going to save a lot of that for a future discussion. But just to discuss what has happened to him in season 4, I really love his character in season 4. I know a lot of people call him Daddy in season 4. Some of the friends that I've talked to, they're like, God damn, dude, you had a little glow up between season 3 and season 4. And yeah, I mean, I'm right there with y'all. I love how this dude is when we first meet him in season 4, he's sneaking around Marley. He's pretending to be an injured soldier, befriends Falco and gets Falco to bring him to Reiner. He infiltrates Marley, meets Reiner and tells him that he is there to return the favor. And the same reason that Reiner went to Parody, Eren has no choice to do what he's about to do. He brings up a good point, and it highlights just how amazing Attack on Titan really is. He says that Willie Tybur, which is basically the government of Marley at this point, that Willie Tybur is right, that Eren is the monster that he claims him to be. And if he isn't stopped, he will most likely destroy the world. That Eren is the bad guy. But in Eren's eyes, he sees Marley as the bad guys. And I think once we get into the discussion episode, I'm really going to focus on that, because I think that is so unique in this storytelling aspect of Attack on Titan, that when you jump into who's a villain, who's not, who's the hero, who's the antagonist, who's the protagonist, and I think that's really the thing that I love the most about Attack on Titan is a lot of this series is built on perspective. But back to Eren, a complete character shift, but not in a way that it doesn't make sense. I think if you went into season 3 and then you started watching season 4, you're kind of confused for a little bit, because you're like, wait, what is going on here? It is a completely different show. The arc of his character, to me, is one of the best ever written in like any type of story, whether that's a book, manga, comic book, TV show, movie. He is one of the best well-written characters in any type of media consumed since the dawn of time. And the great thing about his character arc, it's been a gradual progression to where we find him in season 4. He's cold, calm, collected, strategic. He doesn't seem to really crash out easily or cry like a bitch like he used to. And also, he seems to be in complete control of his Titan abilities since the end of season 3. The dude is just way more confident in fighting other Titans. He's out there kicking everyone's ass. And again, I think when you go from the end of season 3 to the beginning of season 4, it's like a light switch got flipped on in Eren's head. And that is one of the coolest character shifts that I've seen ever. I mean, at the end of season 3, we have him kind of pointing to the ocean and saying, the people over there want to kill us. And now we have this dude in season 4 where he's just like, nah, bro, let's go. We're going to go kill him right now. And as those first few episodes unfold, we do get that sense of the fact that Eren is not really a part of the scouts anymore. While everyone showed up in Marley for him, it seems they didn't really appreciate him going off on his own. Levi kicks the shit out of him when he climbs back into the airship after the festival assault. Hange even mentions that he used them because he knew that they would come save him. And then he just laughs when he learns that Sasha died. And so much of the season has been devoted to whether or not Eren has gone full villain and he no longer cares about his friends. Connie mentions that they need to prepare themselves to kill Eren if it comes to that, because the guy in Marley was not the Eren that they know. Mikasa recounts a time recently when Eren mentioned that he cared about his friends. They were all arguing about who would inherit his attack Titan when he eventually died. Good moment of levity to break up the tension. Everyone's calling each other idiots, and then Eren says that he wants no one to inherit the Titan because he cares for them and wants them to live long lives. Jean disagrees and says that Eren put everyone he loves in harm's way. He usually protects Mikasa even though she was the strongest, and he puts her square on the battlefield. And the same with Armin, who had to destroy that port of Marley. So much of season 4 is devoted to our main group of characters talking about whether or not Eren is full villain or not. And I think that's an interesting shift. If you go from season 1 to 2, it's like, okay, that's a nice little change. Not really where it started out. And then from 3 to 4, it's just like, what the fuck am I watching? But side note, I am going to need them to Star Wars this shit and dive into those 4 years in between season 3 and 4. Specifically, the 10 months that Eren was in Marley. The dude gained like a 20 pack and got all buffed out. Like, talk about a transformation. I want to see all that shit, okay? I want to know what he's doing. Is he working out on the side, in between missions? What is going on there? Then I want to see all that. Now, they do sprinkle that in throughout like a lot of season 4, especially towards the end of that little time gap. I wouldn't mind seeing like a, I don't know, 1.5 hour, 2 hour long movie of those 4 years in between season 3 and 4, kind of like Rogue One, so to speak. Like, just make up a mission that they can go do and make that some throwaway adventure, but it also gives you some context into what happened in those 4 years. But speaking of going full villain, the scene where he shows up to talk to Armin, Mikasa, and Gabi's there too, after the whole dinner sequence, so good. He goes full villain mode here, basically telling Armin and Mikasa that they are the ones being controlled. He lives free, but they don't. Armin is doing things based off memories of Bertolt, and Mikasa follows him and obeys him because her Ackerman bloodline mistaken Eren's blood as a host to protect. That all she does is obey him, and then he lays it on the table that the one thing in this world he hates most is someone that isn't free and is a slave, and then claims he has always hated Mikasa. Huge, huge moment in Attack on Titan, because the thing that we have come to believe over the course of 3 seasons and then into season 4 is that Mikasa and Eren, while they've never professed their love for each other, they've definitely had moments here or there where it's assumed they're in love with each other. But to have this moment where Eren is just like, nah, I've always fucking hated you. We can really come back to this moment, a huge moment in the anime and manga, and we can dive into this a little bit more once I talk about the second special to end the series. We'll have to come back to that. So no future spoilers. Just put a little pin in it. Wait a couple weeks. When my deep dive of Special 2 drops, we'll kind of expand on that a little bit more. But Eren does reveal his final plan in Season 4. He uses the power of the Founding Titan to wake up every Titan within the walls of Parity. He wants to protect the home that he came from, protect the people of Parity. Everyone outside of the island has an incurable hatred for the subjects of Ymir, and he plans to kill everyone with the rumbling. Eren fully believes that if someone tries to take his freedom, he will not hesitate to take theirs, which does lend some credit to the part of the series where it's like a causal loop. Up to this point, we believe that Grisha was the reason for how Eren turned out and him being responsible for everything, when in fact it was Eren manipulating his dad the entire time. The on your feet dad, you're not done yet moment. Guys, you want to talk about a plot twist? That is a fucking plot twist. That is one of the best moments, best mouth wide open, can't believe what the fuck is going on moment in any anime, any manga. This is right up there with any type of cliffhanger for any movie ever. This is one of the best moments in any form of media ever written. And what's crazy is I think the anime is better than the manga. In the manga, it's stand father. In the anime, it's the on your feet dad, you're not done yet. To me, in the anime, it seems more ominous. It seems more of, okay, yeah, get the fuck up right now. And like Eren is just whipping out his dick and controlling everything. In the manga, yeah, it's great. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like the anime is way more impactful with the voice acting, and then even just changing the wording of "on your feet, Dad, you are not done yet." That moment will it's etched in my brain. Like, it's just an amazing moment in this series. And I just find the anime just to be a little bit better than the manga. But at the end of season 4, he basically overrode the founder ability, realized that Ymir was just a slave and didn't want any part of this shit. He presented her with the option to no longer be a slave, to not follow the command of Zeke. He offered that he would put an end to everything. And what's great about the show and then the manga itself, the whole time we have seen Ymir, her eyes have been grayed out. It's these little attentions to detail that I love so much. Like, she's just a shell of a person. She's a nobody. The second that Eren gives her the choice to give up and no longer be a slave, it's the first time that we see her eyes. She's finally a person and not a shell of herself. And it's all because Eren presented her with a choice rather than her just continuing to be a slave to King Fritz. So, like I mentioned before, we're going to dive into Eren a lot more in that discussion episode. So, if I didn't really talk about something here, I'm either going to talk about it on one of the 2 specials or that discussion episode. But moving on, Mikasa. She can't believe what Eren has done. She is visibly upset at the fact that he has killed civilians, including children. I compare it, honestly, there's lots of similarities and parallels with this show and Star Wars. I compare it to Padme finding out that Anakin is no longer good and he's killed younglings. She's in this state of disbelief about what he has done. She can't wrap her head around the fact that he would do this without being controlled. And Eren even says that I'm free and doing everything under my own free will, and that he has always hated her just absolutely shatters her. It sends her into a tailspin. She even gives up her scarf once Marley attacks Parody. So you know that Mikasa's really going through it in season 4. But we do finally get some backstory and a little bit of history into Mikasa's family. It seems her mother was a part of the Hakura clan, which means that she has royal blood in her. Asians were immune to the memory-altering ability of the founding Titan. Thus, they were all hunted and killed years ago. Her father was an Ackerman, which explains how she has these enhanced abilities. Everything that she has ever known is now in question. Does she love and protect Eren because of her own free will, or is it because of her blood? That it goes back to what Eren said, that the only reason that she follows him and protects him and that loves him is the fact that it's in her blood to do so. So she spends a lot of season 4 questioning herself. Armin even snaps on her at one point after the rumbling, basically telling her to think for herself when she asks what she needs to do. She's just lost for a majority of the season. Some really great character work here, and we go from this really strong, fucking savage character in seasons 1 through 3. And then once we get to season 4, they have just stripped her all the way down. And we'll talk about her more when it comes to the specials. But moving on to Armin. He also doesn't recognize Eren anymore, still wholeheartedly believes that Eren is bluffing and that he would never do the things that he is doing. Armin is Team Eren until the end, and we never really see Armin get defensive or pissed off. That is until Eren started spouting off to him and Mikasa. That is until Eren started spouting off to him and Mikasa that they are being controlled. Eren lays into Mikasa that he hates her. This is really the first time that we see Armin just get pissed off, and he ends up punching the shit out of Eren, and then he gets his ass beat to hell and back. But that's neither here nor there, okay? He still punched Eren. Just talking briefly about these next few characters. Levi, love Levi in season 4. Dude has this fuck 'em attitude, more so than previous seasons. I love his interactions with Zeke, just constantly talking shit to him. But he really struggles with the fact that Eren has betrayed the scouts. He has risked his life and saved Eren countless times. So many people have died for Eren, and it's been all for nothing now that he has turned evil. And then we get more of Floch in season 4. And honestly, watching some videos on TikTok, talking to some friends, it's a general consensus that everybody hates Floch. We kind of understand where he's coming from and why he does the things that he does. But Floch is, I really don't like him. Is he my most hated character in Attack on Titan? No. I really do think that he's a bitch more so than anything. I mean, when we see him at the end of season 3, he's a coward, right? And I think he's always been a coward, and he's that guy that tries to build himself up and make other people afraid of him to really prop himself up more than anything. I just think I think he's a huge fucking douchebag, to be completely honest with you. And he thinks Eren is God's gift to the world. He's an Eren dick rider until the end. For better or for worse, he is going to ride that dick until the end of time. But I do think that we can dive into Floch a little bit more with the last two movies of Attack on Titan. Jumping into Sasha, I'm devastated. I hated it. I don't know what to think. There's lots of emotions that I went through with Sasha's death in season 4. And they're mixed emotions. Obviously, she is a great, great character. I love Sasha's character. She's always been the more wholesome, I don't want to say emotional core of the story, because that's not what she is, but she always seems to be the more lighthearted character out of all the characters that we've had. She seems to be the one that brings the most levity in some of these tense situations. I just wish we would have gotten more of her character over the first 3 seasons. One of the more underdeveloped side characters, all of a sudden she's just capping folks left and right with her rifle. Certified fucking badass. It just sucks that she was killed off so soon in season 4. And what made that moment even worse was her talking about food as she was dying. And it still hit me emotionally, still hit me in the feels, not gonna lie. But I think it could have been more impactful if we would have really given her more time to develop over those first 3 seasons, or however many volumes of the manga it was. Like, I know we don't really spend a ton of time into Jean, Connie, but Sasha just feels like one of the most underdeveloped characters in the series. I'd be curious to know what y'all's thoughts are on that. Do you think she's one of the better characters, but also one of the more underdeveloped characters? I just wish I had more of her. But we do get treated to a flashback with her 3 years ago when Zeke sent over the anti-Marleyan volunteers. They begin teaching the people of Parody about the technological advances of the outside world. They introduce Sasha to a whole new world of food. And again, it goes back to the moments of levity that really centered around her more so than anything. It's just a nice little moment there in the season where it just shows her just having this unbound love for food. I just wish we got more of her character throughout the first season. Moving on to Hange. She's always been super interested in Titans. Like, that's not anything abnormal. But I do love how she freaks out over the idea of the outside world having guns and ships that can fly in the air. But truth be told, she's always been a left field character, always thrown off, always. Especially when the Marleyans arrive on Parody, when it flashbacks to when the volunteer soldiers jumped up with the scouts. Her personality is so left field and just how she talks. I'm speaking of the anime more so than the manga here, because it does come across more crazy in the anime. But despite that left field personality, Hange is really the first person to vehemently oppose the idea of mass genocide. Others have teetered on the idea of whether or not they support or oppose Eren. Hange understands that regardless of what happens to them on the island after Eren dies, is no reason to commit mass genocide, and that they must stop. She just blatantly states it for the obvious to other characters that, hey, no, this is fucking wrong. Eren is wrong. We cannot justify anything that he is doing here. I think you can use this argument when you discuss whether or not Eren is right or wrong. I think this is a huge point that a lot of fans will use in that discussion. And again, saving that for the discussion episode, that's 100% going to be brought up again. So just stay tuned for that. And talking about Jean for just a little bit, he takes Sasha's death so hard. He blames Eren for her death because he got the Survey Corps involved in his little festival assault. Really great moment. And by great, I mean like heartbreaking when Sasha dies. Jean and Connie were literally just celebrating with her about them three always sticking together, which is true. They have always been a core group this entire series. And to see her die after that little moment between them just made it that much harder. And the moments with Jean and what that does for his character over season 4 is really great. And just to experience all of that with her death, and not only how it affects us, how that death affects some of these other characters is it's just so damn good. And it makes it hurt even more. Like to hit us in the feels with the fact that Sasha died. Like, yeah, we have our own emotional connections to that character, but then to witness all that through the other characters, it's like as a viewer and as a fan of the series, it's like we get hit double. It's just it's it's crazy how much these characters, how you fall in love with those characters over, I don't know, 80, 90 episodes up to this point. But we do get some closure between him and Reiner. Reiner admits to Jean that he was the one that killed Marco. Jean beats the shit out of Reiner. Jean won't forgive him, and Reiner doesn't blame him. Just an overall great scene with everyone kind of airing out their grievances with one another so they can join forces to take down Eren. And this is the scene that I'm talking in specifically is a scene where people of Marley are trying to join forces with the people of Parody. So it's a good little mending of fences, so to speak. So really great scene, which I will kind of talk about a little bit more when I jump into some of the more miscellaneous thoughts of the season. Characters of Marley. Let's go through some of the main characters of Marley. Lots to say about all these characters because, well, most of them are brand new to this series. But first, we're going to start off with some characters that we already know about, and that is Reiner. He just seems absolutely broken since the end of season 3. Dude is really in the trenches. It just seems like everybody hates him or looks down on him. They view him as weak and a coward. He even sticks a shotgun in his mouth to try to kill himself, but ultimately decides against it. And then when he finally meets Eren, he begs Eren to just kill him now because everything that happened is because of him. He's responsible for the breaching of the wall and Eren's mom being eaten by a Titan. He had convinced the others to keep going because he wanted to be a hero. I think if you look at the trajectory of his character through season 1, season 2, season 3, and through season 4, my God, guys, to have a character throughout season 1 where it's like, oh yeah, I like him. Not my favorite character by any means. And then once season 2 happens, it your emotions change on that character where it's just like, oh nah, dude, he's a villain, he's one of the bad guys, so fuck him, right? Season 3, that kind of gets exponentially worse with not liking his character, but in like the best way possible. And then season 4, it's just like, damn, dude, he's really in the trenches in season 4. And what they have done with the character throughout the entire season is now we understand him. We understand what he has gone through. He's such a sympathetic character throughout season 4 that it's just like, damn, dude, like, okay, like you were brainwashed into doing everything that you did. So are you really to blame for all this? It just adds to how complex and complicated all of these characters are, especially so when we start getting a little bit of that backstory on Reiner. He really wants to become a Titan because he wants to become an honorary Marleyan so he can live with his mom and dad together because his dad is Marleyan and his mom is Eldian. So, of course, his dad wants nothing to do with him because he is an Eldian. He's so scared of being associated with an Eldian devil and being hanged for it that his dad basically shuns him. He still has this unwavering ability to go through with everything, despite the fact that he really and truly knows deep down that his dad will never accept him because of his blood. But that's the reason he does all that he does in seasons 1 through 3 is he just wants his family and to live with his mom and dad. Like, God damn, dude. Like that doesn't hit you in the feels. I don't know what does. Okay. But one thing needs to be said about this dude who is called the Armored Titan. He gets his ass handed to him by Eren in every single fight. The fight in Shiganshina, great. Amazing. You think Reiner is about to win and Eren just rips his jaw clean off. I mean, since that first fight where really Eren, like he didn't really, I wouldn't say beat his ass. It was Eren mostly got his ass beat in that fight. He just got the upper hand at the very end and ended up winning. But since then, Reiner never stands a chance against Eren, and he really gets his ass beat in just about every single fight, despite the fact that he's called the Armor Titan. And we do get some detail finally explaining Zeke's character throughout season 4, especially his Beast Titan abilities. He can apparently control the Titans, which it does answer some questions that we've been asking since season 3. He can apparently control the Titans that were turned by his spinal fluid. His roar activates it and then turns them into Titans, and then he can effectively control them. Titans can also move at night as long as the moon is out. So it does make their Titan state a little bit different than the normal Titan that we see in everyday life. But he ends up joining forces with Eren to free all of Eldia. But later on, we find out that he is a true restorationist. He sold out his parents because Marley was closing in on them. He sold them out, or otherwise his entire family would have been sent to heaven. Come to find out that Grisha and Dinah were grooming him as a double agent of sorts. And at the end of the first part of season 4, we finally get Zeke's ultimate plan to steal the Founding Titan, change the bodies of all subjects of Ymir, and make it so they can't get pregnant. After about 100 years or so, these subjects of Ymir will no longer exist. The world is better off without them, and they won't have to suffer any longer. Seriously loved all of this backstory on Zeke. Those episodes were great. It made me love his character even more now that I understand his motivations. And you gotta respect the fact that he goes through all of his dad's memories with Eren. Even after Eren's betrayal, he wants more than anything to save Eren and then to save the world. He just will not give up on Eren. And again, he continues to do that even after Eren's betrayal in this season. Also in season 4, he has his spinal fluid put in the wine and had Yelena order Niccolo to give it to all the soldiers. Eventually, he attempts to run away from Levi and company and then uses his Titan scream to change everyone in the trees into Titans. And even faraway people are feeling weird after that scream. Really, really dope sequence, especially from like a visual standpoint. Titans are just falling from the sky and just full on attacking Levi, which, side note, poor dude just finished complaining about risking so many lives for Eren, and then all of his comrades are turned into Titans and he has to kill them all or be killed himself. Just a crazy turn of events, especially considering him talking about his loyalty to Eren and how that has just really gotten everyone killed throughout the years. And for now, all of his comrades falling out of the sky, turning into Titans. Just a crazy visual. And then Levi just absolutely slaughters everyone and just teabagged Zeke in their rematch. But yeah, same thing with Reiner and Zeke. For someone that was so badass in season 2 and 3, again, just like Reiner, dude absolutely gets his ass wrecked in season 4. Another cool portion that deals with Zeke, the visual of everyone turning into Titans after Zeke's scream was so cool in the anime. And I'm talking about towards the end of the season, not the specific scene where they're in the forest. That was really cool in the anime. The manga was great, but definitely prefer the anime here, especially with the score. You really feel for all of these characters, more so Falco, because his big brother is holding on to him as he transforms. So his brother ends up dying in the process. Just a lot of emotions going on in the scene. It was a really fucking great moment in the anime. But like I said, the manga was great. Don't get me wrong. Definitely preferred the anime here. Talking just briefly about Falco, dude really wants no part in the war whatsoever. He wants to be the armor titan to protect Gabi, even though she's a complete asshole to him and just a completely shitty fucking person. He eventually professes his love for Gabi, and honestly, despite my opinion about Gabi, I think this moment was completely earned when it happens in season 4. It had been building for over 16 episodes, multiple volumes. Like, Poor dude, though. Like, Eren easily tricked him, and he was just devastated by the fact that he's responsible for everything that happened at the festival. Just a really sympathetic character that you can get behind with a lot of the emotions that he's dealing with. But yeah, I think the stuff with him and Gabi was great, despite how I feel about her. Which segue into Gabi. Oh, there's so much I want to say about Gabi. Okay, so just buckle up. We're gonna be here for a couple of minutes. I can't tell you how much I despise Gabi in the very beginning of season 4. She's a very arrogant, full of herself character. She believes that she's better than everyone else, not in a cool or badass way. Like, I look at like Vegeta, who has that arrogance and he truly believes that he's better than everyone. Well, he's fucking badass. You know what I'm saying? So she definitely doesn't have that luxury with her character. Super, super unlikable character. Probably my least favorite character in the entire series. I don't think her voice actor does her any favors here. Truth be told, I watched all of this in dub, did not watch it in sub. So I don't know what the subbed voice actor sounds like. Maybe it's better, but I just find the voice acting just really irritating. I think all the other voice acting in the series was phenomenal, some of the best voice acting, period. But something about her voice acting plus her character, it just did not mesh well with me. But we do get some really great parallels. Now, despite how much I dislike her character, she is still a great character. Okay. You can still find her unlikable, but she is still a very well written character. If you look at it from afar. But there are some great parallels between her and Eren, especially after the assault at the festival. She is pissed that she had this dream of being recognized by Marley one day and getting rid of her armband. And that's what she has strived for her entire life. But after Parody attacked them and killed everyone she knows, they will never be recognized now after what the Eldians from Parody have done. She wants to kill every last one of them. This is identical, parallel to what happened to Eren during the fall of Shinganshina. And again, you go back to this aspect of they are basically the same character, just different paths, essentially. One ends up going to kill humanity and one ends up being her, where she just wants to kill Eren at this point. Once she arrives in Parody and escapes the jail, which, by the way, I didn't even mention the fact that she's the one that killed Sasha. Like, fuck that bitch, right? She killed one of the best characters in the show, although underdeveloped. One of the best characters in the show. She is responsible for that death. And yeah, maybe, just maybe, deep down, I really despise her character because she's the one that took Sasha away from us. But I think looking at it from an unbiased perspective, she's just a shitty fucking person. But once she arrives in Parody and escapes the jail, her and Falco end up going to a nearby village where they end up taking them in. She's super skeptical, obviously, but you can see her slowly being changed away from that thinking of they are all devils on this island. A girl named Kaya befriends her. This is the small girl that Sasha saved back in season 3. I think it was like one of the first few episodes of that season. She is adamant that the devils of Parody need to atone for their sins and they will never be forgotten or forgiven. Kaya doesn't accept this. She continues to push Gabi and ask her why her mother deserved to be eaten when she never committed any crimes. And then we have the dinner scene where the POW, Niccolo, finds out that Gabi is the one that killed Sasha. Really great, tense scene here because you have no clue where the story is going to go. But what I love about this scene are the thematic elements woven through. Gabi mentions that Sasha killed someone that she loved first. The only reason Gabi killed her was because she killed first. And Niccolo doesn't give a fuck who killed who first. He only cares about losing Sasha and getting his revenge. So much of the story in season 4 is about that never-ending cycle of revenge. When does it stop? And Sasha's dad understands this. He understands that this will never end unless someone stops to killing first. Even Armin brings up the fact that all Gabi ever talks about is kill, kill, kill. Not everyone is wanting to kill someone. But that's just Gabi being brainwashed by the Marlians for so long. And I keep hating to continually bring this up, but I think we could really dive deeper into this aspect of not only the show, but her character in the Attack on Titan discussion episode that we will do in a few weeks. But I do think Gabi does get better as the season progresses. Despite her overall personality, there is some really good character development throughout season 4. She slowly realizes that the people on Parody aren't devils. They're just humans. Sure, there might be some bad apples, but they're no different than she is. At one point, she even lets one of the devils go by trusting Nile. And even Falco is surprised by this move, and she can't believe it either. But ultimately, that's the big thematic element for season 4. Everyone has a devil inside them somewhere. And that's why the world is the way it is. Real world shit going on here in season 4, guys. It hits home too hard, I think. But going back to the thematic element of season 4, I think that is it. I think that is the big theme of season 4 is anyone can be evil. It doesn't matter where you were born or how you were raised or what type of blood you have or don't have. I just think that everyone has a devil inside them somewhere, and it's whether or not you choose to unleash that devil. That is just a huge, huge thematic element of season 4 and really the series at large. But again, we're going to dive deeper into that as we move through this series. All right, now that I have broken down a majority of the characters, I haven't really dived into every single character of Attack on Titan. Otherwise, we'd be here for 3 or 4 hours. I know like Connie, I'm going to talk about him in future episodes, so just be patient with me, okay? I'm gonna get to him. But to end this episode, I want to just give you some miscellaneous thoughts and some moments that were really just great throughout season 4. But the first thing that I want to mention is just how much of a turn into a completely different story we have with seasons 3 and 4. It has taken multiple turns throughout the series, for sure. But I feel like the biggest turn, the biggest change in what this series and what this story is was between 3 and 4. Like if you go back and rewatch episode 1 after, watching a few episodes of this season 4, or even just reading volume 1 of the manga, it's really crazy where this story has gone. And you're just sitting there dumbfounded by like, how did we even get to this point? That's how great the story is, that it is so vastly different from where it started, but it fucking makes sense. And it was so well written that none of it just seems out of place. Can we talk about the balls on the writer of Attack on Titan? Starting off season 4, we end season 3 with Eren pointing towards the sea and basically proclaiming that their enemies are over there. And we start off season 4, or the next volume, with characters we have never met before. There's a 4-year time jump between season 3 and 4. Zeke and Reiner are back in Marley. They're on a mission that we have no clue what the fuck is going on. Marley ended a 4-year-long war with the Mid-East Allied forces. You are thrown into this story and these other set of characters, and you're like, is this a completely different, like, is this like an alternate timeline? Like what the hell is going on with this show? And I think that is what makes it one of the best stories ever written or ever told. I typically hate like spin-off episodes where it focuses on characters, like not the main characters. I will probably always think of The Walking Dead when it comes to this, because it would be like we're in these really great episodes. We're having a story that is unfolding nicely. The pacing is great. And then in the middle of all that, they will devote an entire episode to this fucking side character that no one gives a shit about. And it is the most boring episode ever. And a lot of shows do that. And a majority of the time, I dislike it. But somehow, with the writing of all these characters, they made you care for these characters in a different way. Initially, we can't stand these characters. We don't like them. We are attached to the characters of parody. But over the course of season 4, we understand their motivations. We understand why they are doing the things that they are doing. And honestly, it's all because they were brainwashed. But the fact is that we start off this season with a whole new set of characters, and it was still an amazingly told story over those several. I think they devoted 3 full episodes to the characters of Marley, if I'm not mistaken. So that's crazy to start off that series this season with 3 episodes with characters that we know nothing about. Now, I will say this. I think the anime handles all of these side characters and their introductions a little bit better. The anime was just more engaging to me. The characters just seemed to be more clear with their motivations. The emotions come out better. I found myself really slogging through the manga in this portion. I think if you had to say what were some of my least favorite sections of the manga as I have read through them, this is one of my least favorite sections. Now, is it to the point where I dislike it or I can't read it? No, it's not like a Garlic Jr. saga, or it's not like Kenny the Ripper portion of Attack on Titan. It's not like that. It's just getting through some of these character introductions and kind of deep diving into those characters and showing us their personalities. It just became a little bit of a bore to me reading it. I just think the anime was a little bit better in the storytelling aspect of that. And then one more thing that I want to mention about those first few episodes. It was a crazy visual to see, and I keep saying that about, there's something about Titans raining down from the sky that is so crazy to look at, whether it's on paper or it's through the anime. The visuals of the Titans raining down on that fortress at the beginning of the season was really incredible. But the sheer thought of just sacrificing humans like that is hard, difficult to comprehend. And I think as you read or watch this series, I think there's a lot of similarities between what is going on in the real world. And honestly, that's what makes this anime or this series one of the all-time greatest, is because it is able to parallel a lot of the real world events into this series. It makes it feel that much more real. I think you can draw the comparison very easily between Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. And once you do that, it helps put it in perspective that we can grasp a little bit easier, since that was like a real life issue. And I think once you compare that to what is going on here, the parallels just magnify the true horrors of this series. And I would definitely be interested in kind of drawing those parallels a little bit more as we deep dive into the rest of this series. Now, I want to hit y'all with some quick shots of some of my favorite moments of season 4. Okay, so just bear with me. Episode 64, the Declaration of War, 10 out of 10 episode. Might be the best episode of the series. I don't know. I don't know, like off the top of my head. There's a couple in season 3, and there's definitely a couple in season 4 that were like 10 out of 10 episodes for me. But this might be the best one. It's ripe with tension, and the score fucks. Just fucks. You see things are starting to fall in place with the Marlians being ambushed. It just has you on the edge of your seat the entire time. And then it ends with Eren telling Reiner that he will kill all of his enemies and then transforms into a Titan, just as Willy Tybur declares war. This is also the first time that Reiner and his peeps have been caught off guard. They have always been one step ahead of Eren and the others, and Eren is finally taking the fight to them, and this makes everything so unpredictable. And then once Eren transforms, it's just balls to the wall, great action. And then at the end of the assault on the festival, Lady Tybur is crystallized and Eren can't crush her. So this dude sticks her crystal form in the mouth of the Jaws Titan and then crushes her in his mouth and had her blood and spinal fluid pour into Eren's mouth. Not only is that a crazy visual, but goddamn was that so badass at the same time. It's like, who even thinks of this shit? Fucking loved that scene. It was so awesome. The bombing of Commander-in-Chief Zackley's office was absolutely fucking gnarly. In the manga, more so. It's gory and just so unexpected while you're reading it, which eventually leads to the creation of the Yeagerists. The Yeagerists then destabilize the military and the region, getting all the new recruits and people to stop following the military orders and instead follow Eren as he is the new leader of Eldia. Full on Order 66 here. So again, we have kind of drawn parallels between Star Wars. And I'm not saying these are all on the same level, but there's elements of all of these different things in this series. You have Game of Thrones, which a lot of the story in season 4, like the flashbacks and then going to the present time so often, and most of the time is done. And I'm not saying these things are equal in terms of what they mean to other people. I'm not saying that. Like the Holocaust, Nazi Germany, we have those elements throughout this series. We have Star Wars. Again, not drawing the comparison there and saying those are on equal footing. They're fucking not. But I'm just saying that there are elements of those stories in this story. Full on Order 66 with Star Wars. We have Game of Thrones with those aspects in season 4. Like, there's this confusing period within this season where you have no clue who has allegiance to who is on what side, who the villain is or isn't. And while it may get a little confusing at first, it's so interesting and compelling, especially once you watch it a second time. It's so much easier to digest. But it has that Game of Thrones feel to it where you don't know anyone's true intentions. So there's lots of different elements woven through this story seamlessly, and it just makes it that much better. Episode 76, Judgment, really great episode. This is the part 2 premiere of season 4, the one where it's Eren versus Reiner and Galliard. The action sequences are so incredibly well choreographed. The animation is top tier. It's an all-out war at this point that we have built to for 3.5 seasons. So it's an episode that it feels satisfying to have finally reached that point in the story. And I love how this series leads to everyone joining forces against Eren. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. I really appreciated that Shadis and Magath joined forces at the end of season 4, and they just went out with a bang, pun intended. Their last moment together was nice, and they were very similar to one another on how they treated their students and recruits. There was this moment of mutual respect between these two characters that have every reason to fucking hate each other. And for them to have that moment of respect and to go out with each other was a great moment. But I do love how everyone is kind of joining forces now and putting aside their differences, which again, you can use that for real world shit. You know, hey, how about we look at each other and just join one another? You know, let's put aside our differences and be friends rather than be enemies. That's what the world needs. And I think those elements woven through here, just it hits, like I said, hits harder because that's real life shit going on right now. But I do have to, in this episode, I do have a minor complaint of season 4, and it makes me lean towards the manga being better. When Hanji, Jean, Mikasa, and Armin are in the forest with the ones from the internment zones, with Reiner talking about how Marco died, this whole sequence was just weirdly animated. It's mostly still images, and a lot of the still images are of like trees, and in one case it's the camera just moving up the tree line, and all that with the characters talking over it. Boring wouldn't be the word that I would use. It's just lazy to me, especially for a big moment between all of these characters where they're joining forces. It should have been way more impactful than it actually was if they had animated it in a way that we actually focused on the characters and the conversation. Instead of that, they took it away from the conversation and then just made it about, like, they just put still images of I don't know. I don't understand the logic of why they did that. Maybe, and this is me trying to look at it from a different perspective. Maybe they're wanting you to focus on the conversation rather than the visuals, maybe. But I don't know. These characters are finally joining forces with one another. I want to see them talking to one another. I want to see everything that's happening. I want to see the facial animations, the intricacies of their personalities coming out in real time rather than seeing a fucking tree branch. To me, it's one of the things in the anime that I have noticed that was just completely off the mark. I just think they did not do a good job with this sequence, and it should have been way better than it actually was. So I'm going to lean towards the manga, which, if y'all know me, I call it like I see it. I haven't said that the anime is better in every single aspect of this series. The manga has done a lot of things better than the anime, and vice versa. I think once you read and watch both at the same time, trust me, it gives you a different perspective on this series, and I would highly recommend people go do that. One last thing that I want to mention before I close out of this episode, one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, all right? Season 4 has the fucking sauce, okay? This overall season is one of the best seasons of anime, period. And I understand why they split up the last 2 books into 2 different specials to close out the series. I understand why they did that. It's aggravating that they split up the final season into 4 parts, essentially. But I can see why they did it from a storytelling perspective. But if you combine, or actually, if you even disregard the 2 specials and you look at parts 1 and 2 of season 4 by themselves, it has that fucking sauce. But if you include that as well, the 2 specials, from the rumbling song to the Titan fights to the score in every episode to all of the betrayals, everything, this season is one of the best seasons of anime ever. I would be interested to see who puts what series in that conversation. I think SAO season 1 has to be in that conversation of best seasons of an anime. Honestly, I think you could look at a couple of different ones of Dragon Ball Z, but I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so it is what it is. So I would be interested to see what animes have better seasons than season 4 of Attack on Titan. If you have an idea, or just to throw out there, and in comparison to this, drop me a comment down below and let me know what seasons are better than season 4 of Attack on Titan. But yeah, guys, season 4, absolutely incredible from beginning to end. I know that on previous episodes, like of our podcast with Christian, I mentioned that binge watching this was not the way to go, and that you should really watch it week to week. Wrong. I've never been more wrong about something in my life, okay? Because I have binged this entire season over the course of like a week, and to me, it's better served as a binge rather than week to week. I caught up with season 4, part 1, like right when the festival assault happened. That's when I finally caught up with the series. To me, watching it week to week, I didn't understand the character motivations, and I kind of lost a little sense of the story and the theories. A lot of the story elements didn't connect to me as well as it did when I binged and then read the manga as well. So again, I will admit that I was completely wrong in that aspect. I said you need to watch it week to week and just take your time with the series. Nah, brah. When it gets to season 4, binge that shit and consume all of it so you can kind of put all your thoughts together and try to digest everything that happens in season 4, which is a lot. But guys, let me know down in the comments below of what you thought about season 4 of Attack on Titan. What were some of your favorite moments, favorite characters of the show? What do you think about Gabi? Let me know your inner thoughts of season 4 down below. And while you're there, hit that like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you know when the next episode of this Attack on Titan series drops. Again, dropping one a week until the completion. And as of now, there are 10 episodes planned for this Attack on Titan deep dive series. It is my biggest deep dive series to date, and it has so far been one of my favorite things that I have done for this channel. So yeah, I would love it if you followed along with us. But guys, that is going to be it from me. Next week, we are diving into the final chapters, part 1. I am splitting that up. It needs their own episodes for sure. So part 1 will be dropping next week. So be on the lookout for that. But thanks again for joining me. I will see y'all next week on another episode. Latest.